Welcome back. I'm Dwayne.
I'm JC.
And we're here to talk to you again about 10 things that everyone should know before
Before they file bankruptcy.
You made it say before twice.
I know, but it's important to do it before.
This is a huge segment because people will come in and ask us, hey, do I have to list this debt or that debt on my bankruptcy petition? And the answer is,
yeah.
You have to list all your debts. You can't partition anybody out and not list them on your bankruptcy paperwork if you owe them money. Now, there's two ways that this goes. There's those creditors that we don't want to list because we don't want to discharge them. We don't want them to know that we're filing for bankruptcy. We don't want to offend them. We intend to pay them, but it doesn't matter. They still have to be scheduled on your bankruptcy paperwork because when you file for bankruptcy, you're going to raise your arm to the square and you're going to testify under oath that you've listed all of your assets.
And you're going to punch somebody in the face. And it's a requirement of the bankruptcy code that you list all your debts. You will have a hearing with the bankruptcy trustee after you file, and you will be sworn in, and they will ask you.
It's your right hand, by the way, that you raise.
And the trustee will ask you under oath, penalty of perjury, did you list all of your debts? And so you don't want to create problems for yourself. You have to list all your debts.
Now, here's the other end of this, and that is everybody wants to discharge their debts. If you don't list a debt because you can't find them, you don't remember them, you just forget to put them on your bankruptcy paperwork, they're not going to be discharged by the bankruptcy proceeding. And that's bad.
That stinks.
Yeah, because you've got a bankruptcy in your credit report, you've had to pay attorney's fees, you've paid a court filing fee, you had to attend a hearing, you had to deal with a couple of clowns like us.
That's the worst.
And then you still have to pay those creditors because you didn't discharge them to the bankruptcy. So this is the serious part. Every creditor has to be listed. Their address has to be listed because there's a little thing called constitutional due process. Yeah. And that means if they didn't get a chance to defend themselves in bankruptcy court, they're not going to be discharged by your bankruptcy proceeding.
Because they have to get notice. They have to know that you filed.
Because the government, by issuing a discharge order, is going to be taking away their right or their property, their ability to collect from you. Now, here's the real big, huge problem. That is sometimes when we owe somebody debt, let's say Citibank on a credit card, and we're not able to pay it because we've lost an income or we're supporting two households on what we used to only be able to support one on before. We can't afford to pay the debts, and so Citibank takes what are called non-performing notes, and they will sell them out. Let's say you owe $18,000 to Citibank. They'll group them up with another $500,000 worth of non-performing notes and sell them to a
debt collector.
Debt buyer.
Well,
they collect. They will. You know what? I'm probably too far down the road. First of all, they'll take their $518,000 worth of non-performing notes and turn them over to a debt collector. JC's right, and try to collect from you. But if they can't collect from you, then they'll just sell it all out, and they'll sell that for pennies on the dollar, 5-6 cents on the dollar.
And that's when you start getting notices from these companies you've never heard of saying, you owe us this money. And you're like, I don't know who you are.
Okay, but the worst part of it is if by the time you come around to take care of your financial situation, you've forgotten who they are, you haven't kept track of who they are, or if they just haven't told you who they've sold it to, you might file a bankruptcy not listing them. So you can go try to find them on your credit report. You can try to find them from looking up old bills and calling, in my example, Citibank and ask them, do I still owe that debt to you? If I don't, who do I owe it to now? Who'd you sell it to? You have to list all your debts on your bankruptcy paperwork. Sometimes you won't want to list family members. Sometimes you won't want to list your doctor. Sometimes you won't want to list your employer or somebody else that you don't want them to know that you're filing for bankruptcy.
So let's say you list a doctor that you have to, or you want to continue to see, you have to continue to see. So if I list them on my bankruptcy and they're discharged, does that mean I'm not allowed to pay them?
Nope. You can still pay them if you want to. They're not allowed to collect from you, but you're allowed to pay them.
Yeah. You can pay anybody any amount you want after you file bankruptcy if you're able.
That's right.
That's your option. They're not allowed to try and collect it.
But an option.
That's what the discharge does.
But an option you don't have is you don't get to decide who you list on your bankruptcy paperwork. You have to list everybody that you owe money to. Now, here's the trick question. We're going to end with this. What if you have a credit card that has a zero balance on it? Is that a creditor that you have to list on your bankruptcy paperwork, JC?
No.
Because they're a prospective future potential creditor.
But you don't owe them any money.
Not today. Okay, be sure and list everybody. Make a list of everybody that you owe money to. Start digging around. You're going to have to act like an investigator. You're going to have to become Sherlock Holmes and go find out where all of your debts have gone to. And this is the safest way to keep out of trouble and to get as good a fresh start as you possibly can.
That's what it's all about.